Hello again everyone and welcome back to Skyblock News. Today we have the Skyblock 0.24.4 update, including the Harvest Feast, a bunch of glacite tunnels improvements, a whole lot more, and on top of that we get some future update information. Before we begin, make sure to like and subscribe and use code RAIL on the Hypixel store for 5% off your order. Without any further ado though, let's get started. To begin, I wanted to preface by saying we'll be spending most of our time today on the forums, as I've already covered pretty much everything related to the Harvest Feast and the Glacite Tunnel changes in my previous videos. So if you want to get further details about the recipes, about these changes, you can go to those videos. You'll see all the information while it was on alpha. I won't be able to show you many of the items in-game at the moment anyway, as the Harvest Feast is not active. But to begin, the Harvest Feast is a brand new yearly farming event coming to Skyblock, and here is Feast Chef Ted, who is the main NPC who runs the event. The TLDR for the event is that every single Skyblock year, when this event begins, 3 different crops will be chosen, and they will cycle out every single Skyblock month. And during those Skyblock months, you'll be able to farm these 3 crops and get 2 types of items. Seasonings, which progress the overall event, and the rare crop items, which allow you to craft brand new items. And every single Skyblock month that this event is active, so normally it's active for 3 Skyblock months, the 3 crops that are in season will change. So in a normal Harvest Feast, there will be 9 total crops that are in season, and you'll be able to farm those up, get the seasonings, as well as the rare crops. So that is the fundamentals of how this works. In terms of the seasonings, seasonings are a rare crop which have a 1 in 2250 chance of dropping from in-season crops when harvesting them. It's not a physical item, it won't enter your inventory or anything like that. It'll just automatically be donated to the communal stew in the hub. So every seasoning that you donate to the stew will contribute towards your donation tiers. And there are 5 tiers in total at 5, 25, 75, 150, and 250 seasonings total. Every single donation tier that you reach will earn you a Feast Flask. These Feast Flasks can be used to craft the new Celestial Mason Jar, the most powerful mix-in in Hypixel Skyblock, and there it is. It gives you Magic Find, Tracking, Global Wisdom, Farming Fortune, Foraging Fortune, and Mining Fortune. Has the full 72-hour duration when you have a max alchemy level. It is a very, very strong item, as you can see. And when you hit that max tier, so 250 seasonings in a normal Harvest Feast, you'll get a commemorative mason jar for that event. Alongside this update, there's also a brand new stat. This is called Overbloom. Basically, how this works is it's farming's equivalent to Magic Find. It increases your chances of dropping rare crops. Every 1 Overbloom you have adds 1% to the drop rate of all rare crops, so 100 Overbloom will double your chances. And here are all the rare crops: Crappie, Squash, Fermento, Helianthus, Burrowing Spores, the Overclocker 3000, Warty, Ethereal Vines, Wild Strawberry Dye, and every single one of the Harvest Feast drops, or all of the rare crops from the Harvest Feast. Next up, we have the rare crop drops themselves. They have a 1 in 18,000 chance of dropping a new crafting material unique to that crop when they are in season. So if you're going for melon, for example, you have a 1 in 18,000 chance of getting the melon item, which I believe is, yes, it's melon juice. And that can be increased with a few new items alongside your Overbloom. So it won't be 1 in 18,000 if you have, for example, 90 Overbloom. It'll be significantly higher rates than that. And as you can see, these new drops can be used to craft quite a few new items. Things like the Cornucopia Crystal, the Not Very Moldy Bread. In terms of carrot items, we have the Carrot Colored Vinyl set, which means that you can fill it with 5 pest vinyls, you can give it to a visitor, and you can charm them, which gives them better rewards the next time they visit. There's the Poignant Carrot Bait, which allows you to attract a carrot-craving visitor, which is the Carrot King avatar, which allows you to upgrade, for example, the Lucky Clover into the Poignant Lucky Clover, which I think doubles its Magic Find, or gives it 13 total Magic Find for now. In terms of potato items, there's the Hash Brown, which gives you the Deep Fried Reforge. I'm going to be honest, this is probably the weakest of the bunch in terms of crop drops. In terms of the pumpkin items, you can get Turbo Gourd and Enchanted Turbo Gourd, which allow you to increase Turbo Crop from 5 all the way up to 7. There's the Overpriced Drink as well, giving you some Overbloom on your farming tools. For sugarcane items, there's cane knot, and there's a lot of stuff with sugarcane. There's the speed relic, there's the unalloyed speed, which gives you plus 50 max speed cap on your pets, which is absolutely crazy. And there's thermodynamic armor, which increases your attack speed cap. Very, very interesting set. I wonder if thermodynamic will actually be useful for anything in the medium term. Maybe some weird setup with duplex on a Terminator could go kind of hard with this, but players will have to experiment to find out more. In terms of the melon items, there's the melon juice mix-in, as well as trunk polish, which allows you to upgrade your elephant pets to mythic rarity, and the melon juice mix-in gives you 15 farming fortune as well, so even more farming fortune is getting added to the game. I believe that the elephant pet on the Alpha Network gave you 15% bonus sawdust when you're harvesting crops, but that might be changed on the main server. I'm not 100% certain, and it's kind of hard to figure that out right now since we don't have access to this item. In terms of the cactus items, there's these cactus flowers. You can get the potted cactus. You have to bring 3,000 to Carolyn to gain 5 health and 12 cactus fortune. And there's the prickly creeper, which when applied to armor increases its thorns level by 1. For cocoa beans, there's the designer cocoa beans, which you can use to get the bug blender enchant, granting you 20 all the way up to 100 farming fortune when vacuuming pests. And there's also the cocoa leech shard, which grants you the perk Groovy Radar, which pests have a 2.5 up to 25% chance to drop a second vinyl. Very nice item. For mushroom, there's Feast Fungus, which can be crafted into the fragranced brown mushroom paste. You can give it to a visitor for no reward, scaring them off for 24 hours with a maximum of 2 visitors. And the fungal tip jar, which you can give to Sam to permanently unlock a tip jar that visitors can tip copper in. I used this on alpha, it barely worked, I'm going to be honest, but maybe it's a little bit better on the main server. In terms of nether wart, there's Jacob's participation medal. You can use this as fuel on one farming minion, and it will occasionally generate Jacob's tickets for 3 days. For sunflowers, their rare crop drop is sunflower seeds, which you can use to make the sunflower butter, a power stone which grants you a lot of speed and attack speed, as well as Buzzy Bee's fantabulous disco destination. Basically, you place it on your garden, you fill it with pest vinyls, and for every vinyl you have inside of this item, pests will spawn within 10 blocks of it, meaning it should be a lot quicker to collect all your pests. For Moonflower, the drop is crystallized moonlight. You can get Moon Dew, which you can place inside of a pest trap to attract the lunar moth, a brand new pest. And there's also the wild roses here. Floral gelatin is the drop, which you can use to upgrade the bee pet to mythic rarity. And I believe this just gives you sunflower, moonflower, and wild rose fortune. Not the craziest upgrade in the world. There's also the Grand Feast. This is a second part of this update effectively. Mayor Finnegan has a brand new perk, Grand Feast, which replaces the Harvest Feast with a version that lasts for the entire Skyblock year. It also opens up the Grand Bakery during its duration. Feast Baker Scott runs the Grand Bakery and will appear next to Ted during a Grand Feast. And there are a few new drops associated with this. Whenever you get a seasoning from an in-season crop, you will also get a kernel during the Grand Feast, which is a new currency that you can spend at the Grand Bakery to bake new rewards. Notably, there's a brand new accessory line that grants you from 1 all the way up to 5 Overbloom. There's Feast Books, which you can apply to farming tools to grant yourself more Overbloom. There's Finn's Focaccia, which is a consumable that grants you 5 Overbloom for the rest of the event. There's Ted and Scott's Contact Baked in Bread, which allows you to get some buffs during the Grand Feast and outside of the Grand Feast, and on top of that gives you their Abaphone Contact. And finally, there's the Bread Bowl, which costs 10,000 kernels and is a super cool thing to give to somebody. Since Finnegan is getting a brand new perk, they are removing Peltpocalypse, but now Peltpocalypse is basically always active. Talbot's shop and the Horse Trapper animal are always available, and they've reworked the Trapper's Crest accessory. It upgrades an additional time and buffs the amount of pelts you drop to compensate for the removal of the Mayor perk. With this update, they've also introduced a Fossil Essence shop, which Fossil Dust has now been turned into Fossil Essence, and you can access it at Researcher Barrel, a new NPC that can be found on the top floor of the Fossil Research Center. So the perks are Sleight of Hand, in which you start the Fossil Excavator with an additional charge, Chilled to the Bone 1 through 10, that increases your chances of fishing up skeleton fish in the Crimson Isle by 2 to 20%, Dwarven Expertise 1 to 10, grants 2 to 20 Dwarven Metal Fortune, Cut Loose 1 to 5, killing a glacial mob while inside a glacite mineshaft, grants 0.5 to 2.5 cold resistance up to 10x. Prehistorian 1 through 10 increases the chance of a fossil die spawning in the fossil excavator by 1 to 10%, and Resourceful 1 through 5, granting you a 1 to 5% chance to not consume keys when looting a frozen corpse. In total, you'll need 66,250 fossil essence to max out the shop. You'll also be able to purchase a chisel through the menu at 5 fossil essence cost, and the suspicious scrap is purchased here for 100 fossil essence as well. There's also this guy, the Fossil Muncher. Basically, it's a new NPC in the Glacite tunnels. Every 24 hours, he'll ask for a random fossil, and if you give him that fossil, he'll give you 25,000 Glacite powder and 100 fossil essence. They've also updated the loot table of the fossil excavator, which you can see on screen now. Definitely a lot of number changes here. Going to take people some time to figure out what this all means, all things considered. They've improved the salvage for a lot of items related to fossil essence, and generally just made improvements as a whole to the Fossil Research Center. The farming toolkit has also been added alongside this update. You can pick it up for 500 copper in the Sky Mart, and it'll store all your farming tools for all crops. If you consume the item, it also grants you access to the farming toolkit menu. You can also do /FT. You can store all your farming tools here. It's very, very nice, and you can access the menu also by shift right clicking the farming tool you're currently holding, just like the hunting toolkit, which is now also a consumable. For the last major change alongside this update, I highly recommend you get the new carnival perks, which you can pick up at Doug's event shop in the carnival. These all help you out with the Harvest Feast. There's Natural Talent 1 through 5, which grants you a 1 to 5% chance to find seasonings during a Harvest Feast. This one is extremely important. Get this one first. Fortunate Feasting 1 through 5 grants you farming fortune during a Harvest Feast from 5 to 25. Feast Crashers grants you 2 to 6 bonus pest chance during a Harvest Feast, and Leftovers 1 and 2 earns you +1 and +2 feast flasks if you reach the final donation tier, allowing you to make an additional mason jar if you have fully maxed it out during a grand feast. There's also the new farming tool type. They've reclassified all hoes and axes used for farming as farming tools. They now share the same reforges, same enchantments. They have removed Sunder because of this, because it was redundant with the functionality of the harvesting enchantment, but for axes. And they've replaced the Sunder 6 drop from Locust with a new drop, Locust Larva. You can consume it while in your garden to add +1 pest to your vacuum bag. There's a new visitor, Taylor, who can now visit your garden. She is a mythic visitor, and she'll give you one of 2 cosmetics, the fast food barn skin or the jelly greenhouse skin. Not a lot to go over here. If you want the barn skin, she'll ask for deep fries, salted sunflower seeds, and enchanted baked potatoes. And if you want the greenhouse skin, she'll ask for a lot of floral gelatin, melon juice, and compacted wild roses. The farming reforge stones also got a few changes. They've moved around the stats from the current reforge bonus to the base stats, which is an aesthetic change. The new reforge bonus now grants a chance for you to drop enchanted crops when farming, and they fixed an issue with farming fortune stat being lower than intended for rare items with this reforge. The golden ball also had the same change made. They moved the farming fortune from the reforge bonus to the base stats, which is an aesthetic change, and the large walnut is now applied to farming tools. They buffed the farming fortune this reforge provides significantly, and they gave it a reforge bonus that grants +5% sawdust while farming. They've removed the base speed stats. Floating crystals now no longer have an effective radius. They apply to the entire private island, which is incredible. They adjusted the rarities for certain floating crystals, and they all have new and unique textures. They've also made a change with regard to pest farming fortune scaling. They have reduced it by 50%. So basically, pests will drop 50% less crops from your farming fortune, but their base drop amounts are unaffected. Originally, this was believed to be a very significant nerf. However, thanks to a lot of help from the Elite Farmers Discord and Garrett, we were able to figure out that the actual nerf here is much less significant, around 8 to 12% of your total profit, at least based on the calculations. Things might be volatile for the next couple days, but no, pest farming should not be dead. They've also made a few changes to the Sack of Sacks slots. They have given the players a lot more via the Clownfish collection. Previously, you could only get a maximum of 18. Now they give you a total of 28, which is absolutely incredible. Rather than setting your speed cap to 500, racing helmets now grant you plus 100 speed cap. They've renamed a bonus attack speed stat to just attack speed, and they fixed having more than 500 speed not actually making you any faster. As part of the patch notes today, we got a fairly extensive update FAQ, so let's go over it. To begin, the team writes, what's coming next month? Early next month, we want to release a fairly large quality of life patch and an early game quest to teach players about account security. Later on in the month, we plan on releasing the Lotus Atoll, a brand new fishing island. You can read the sneak peek for that island here. So that's pretty great information. I'm very happy that they're working on a quest for early game players for account security. There's something like this in RuneScape already, the stronghold of security. If they can do something like that for Skyblock, give it some nice rewards, I think it will go a long way. Also, the fact that we're getting the Lotus Atoll later next month is amazing news. Very happy to hear that major content is on the horizon. Where are the Minister perks from the Aura event? The team is still actively working on implementing all Minister perks from Mayor Aura's event. 1 or 2 perks have already been released, as you might have seen, with April's Secret Bingo event, and most of the remaining perks will be released bundled together in one update. Good to hear that there is an update on the Minister perks. Obviously, not great that they're still taking a long time to release. I think the original statement about them releasing in early 2026 probably should not have been made, but at least they're taking some amount of accountability for that. And when can we expect the second foraging island? We are very deep into development of the second island of Galatea, Taurus Canyon, and are hoping to release it later this year. You can expect a sneak peek for it over the next month or two. And we get a few images here. Absolutely beautiful images of this island. I love the design. It looks great. This is of a tent location. This is of the Taurus Springs. And this is of the Taurus skyline. Definitely a very visually interesting island. We'll probably have a video or short later this week covering a lot of the details related to these screenshots. The next question is, when will we be getting the new type of combat content? The new type of combat content is still in the early stages of development, so we won't share much now, but it is intended to take full advantage of the latest versions of Minecraft and be accessible to players at all stages of the game. We'll share a piece of concept art from the project for now. The image shown for the new type of combat content is definitely very interesting. The new island alongside the specific area of Castle Ashwood is shown, and it looks awesome. I love the visuals, the moat made of lava, the fact that the castle is built inside of a tree. It definitely seems like a very different style of island. There's giant trees all over the right side of it. There's seemingly a tree base, some sort of castle area going up to the giant tree over here. And they have a bunch of visuals of Roman style architecture on the top right. These columns made seemingly out of wood of some sort. Definitely a very interesting island. I imagine that this is going to be almost the pale oak colors or the creaking biome colors. Definitely excited to see what this turns into. A brand new island, a brand new piece of combat content is on the horizon for Skyblock. Obviously not coming anytime in the super near future, but definitely something to look forward to for the future. The next statement here, what happened to the Guardian Slayer update? The Guardian Slayer update has always required the Lotus Atoll to release before it, but now that we have access to latest version tech, we would like to take some time to revisit the Slayer, which was originally built using only 1.8 mechanics. We still plan on releasing it later this year. Very happy that they're going to be looking at the Slayer again. Hopefully we get Tridents, hopefully we get something related to 1.21 stuff. Definitely a confusing decision to see that the island was originally built in 1.8, but I'm glad that they're revisiting it, and I'm glad we're still going to get it later this year. And the last question here, what happened to the Great Glacite Lake update? With the Lotus Atoll and Desecrated Shrine, Guardian Slayer updates currently planned for fishing, we thought that yet another fishing update so soon would have grown tiresome. Because of this, we ultimately split the Great Glacite Lake update into a number of parts, many of which you've already seen released: Frozen Corpse RNG Meter and Milestones, Littlefoot's Den, the Fossil Essence Shop. We still plan to release the Great Glacite Lake part of this update, which contains the next 2 pieces of BIS mining equipment, glacite sea creatures, new mine shafts, and an offering system for the lake that makes it easier to target certain mine shafts in the future. We apologize for the delay. Would love to see some more information about this, how much of the update has changed, is it going to be built in 1.8 or 1.21, but regardless, glad to hear that they're still working on the Great Glacite Lake and it has not been forgotten. Wrapping up here, the first Harvest Feast event will be occurring in around 14 hours after the release of this video, and it's amazing to see some information finally about where this game is going to be going over the next year. We got a ton of screenshots for the Taurus Canyon, which looks absolutely amazing. We got some information about the new type of combat content, a brand new island, Castle Ashwood, looks incredible, the art is amazing, I hope we see more of that in the future. We now know more about the Great Glacite Lake. We know that the Lotus Atoll is going to be coming next month alongside a brand new early game quest for account security. Skyblock is looking up, ladies and gentlemen. We finally got some developer communication. Please, I implore the team, keep it up. Keep giving us information like this whenever an update drops. It is very, very important and very much needed. Would love to hear your thoughts on all of this information down below, and look to the future, fellas. I'll see you then.